And we have slow connection. There we go. All right, we've got a great one for you today. I am bringing on Al Stasek, but as we know, got to do first things first. And here we go.
This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.
I dig that every time I watch it. So, okay, I've got Al Stasek here, and every time I hear this man's name, I hear burn the boat. Burn the boat. So, Al, thanks so much for taking time to get on here with me. I certainly appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited, Tamra. When we talk about burn the boats, we don't mean literally burn my boat. We're not talking about don't be burning my boat. You burn
don't be burning mine either.
Don't be burning our boats, but you burn the boats, and we'll get into that. But yeah, it's fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So where did burn the boats come from?
So, it's a story that I actually heard for the first time in 2010. And I guess to put things in perspective, because it's important, is that, I was licensed in 1998. I'm going to really fast forward this. I was the over the road truck driver, long haul truck driver. Really had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew that it wasn't going to be driving truck forever. And then I took some time off, thought about it, and I went up and got my real estate license. That was in 98. Fast forward to 2010, I met two gentlemen that changed my life, not just professionally, but personally. And that's Mike Reese and Jay Kinder. And that was through their coaching company they had that was Kinder Reese Coaching. And I really, I went on a whim and hired them. And when I didn't really have the money, we were coming out of a housing crash in 2010. So money was tight. I put together some money on a room I had left on a credit card, and I went all in. And I sat there. I flew to Dallas, Texas. I knew nobody in the room, but I flew to their conference, and there was a gentleman who was standing up there, opening up the conference, and he was telling the story about, this gentleman named Hernando Cortez. And he went on to say, this is back in 1519. So way, way, way back. Hernando Cortez was a conqueror, and I'll tell the short version, but he was a conqueror who wanted to take the richest treasure in the world. And so he gathered a group of sailors and warriors together. The warriors, they weren't really warriors. They were just like random guys he found like wandering around the villages and said, "Hey, come fight with us." But he spoke to them about if they were to be successful, what that meant to their family, what that meant to the future generations of their family and their kids. It got them all fired up. They start sailing across the ocean to the Yucatan Peninsula. And as they got close to the shores, the men started getting scared, and they really started getting nervous, and they wanted to turn back. And, they had 5 ships. And so Hernando says, "Let's pump the brakes, guys. Let's get to the shore. I'm going to share something with you that's going to change everything." So they get to the shore. Hernando, he gets everybody all huddled up. They get off the ships, and he goes in there and he says 3 words that changed everything. He said, "Burn the boats." And everyone says, "Excuse me?" He says, "Burn the ships, because if we're leaving this island, we're leaving on their ships, not ours." And they torched all the boats. And I got a painting of that night. So that's the ship burning right there. And
that's sweet.
When they did that, something really special happened. They fought really well. And the reason they fought really well is they didn't have a plan B. It was plan A or die. It was fight and win and take the treasure or die. They burnt the boats. They didn't have a retreat. It was just go. And so, in my life, I've had to make big decisions. I know that you've made some big decisions just as of recently.
Yeah.
And that involves, taking a leap of faith and burning the boats and going all in. And when I've done that, I'm not going to say that those decisions have been easy to make. Some of the best decisions you make in your life, as it relates to not just professionally, but even personally, involve burning the boats, involve, it's either maybe getting rid of some relationships that aren't the most healthy, that aren't, serving everyone, both sides at the highest level. And that's just life. And it's served that, that philosophy that I learned in 2010 served me well over the last, 12 years.
I would say so. I mean, just telling that story kind of, resonates with me because I've been doing this 17 years and I took a huge leap of faith to join with eXp, and, everyone criticized, and criticize away. I see retirement in my future, something I didn't see before.
Isn't that the truth? So you've been, at this game almost as long as I have. Came from the same era, if you will. But
definitely,
it's a different environment than how you and I grew up in this business. And a lot of people will take those shots. I remember when I moved my brokerage over, which was 4.5 years ago, the chatter on the street was, oh, Al must have been, that whole independent brokerage thing must not have worked out for him. Oh, he must be wanting, he must be giving up and throwing in the towel. What few understand about our model is that it's like an upgrade. It's like moving from coach to first class, or it's like moving from first class to flying private. It's an upgrade to your business model. It's not taking a step back to the back of the plane. It's sitting in
absolutely.
It's free.
Yeah,
journey.
Absolutely. Well, because I was in the midst of getting my broker's license, and I thought, okay, I'm going to have to do all this recruiting. If I'm going to go into this, do the whole brick and mortar, I'm going to have to recruit to get people over into, working in my brokerage. And a good friend of mine's like, let me show you this first. And it, was the first time I'd seen it in 5 years. And I was like, at that point in time, it was for me. It wasn't for me 5 years before that, but it really fit my mentality at that point. Is that kind of how it worked for you?
Yeah. I mean, I was, I can say with 100% certainty and confidence that I was not interested. I wasn't even interested in knowing more about it because, and I'm typically not a closed-minded person, but frankly, I wasn't feeling pain. In 2016, I had the best year in my real estate career. I only had about 12 agents, but we were cranking along doing, somewhere around 300 transactions. And I had stepped out of the realtor sales, role and was really just serving as a role of CEO of my own company. I wasn't working weekends. My wife at the time and I bought a lake house, and, just there was checks in the boxes. And what I didn't understand was that my business model was on eggshells, because one or two little things happens and boom. And sure enough, it did. I lost my 2 top agents. And they didn't leave because they weren't unhappy. They left because there wasn't opportunity for them to grow within my little independent brokerage. So they went to another brokerage. And I knew, because of the conversations we had on their way out, and it was like tearful, like we were like brothers and sisters, like it was, we were like a family. But I knew, based upon that if I had moved my brokerage over earlier, I would never have lost them completely. In fact, I could have helped them grow the team the right way within our ecosystem, if you will, and not completely lost all of the income. Now, you're going to lose the income either altogether when you lose a top agent, or you can keep them growing and help them and still be financially aligned in their success. So that was the first thing that I saw, was that, wow, this solves a problem. I believe that money changes hands and people make big decisions when problems are solved. And because of that belief, I, try to always stay open-minded to maybe there's a better way than the way I'm doing it right now. Maybe there's a better way of solving my current problems than the way that I'm just thinking of them. And so that's just been a mental model that I try to have an awareness of and live by. And so far, it serves me well.
I would say. Well, I appreciate you getting on here with me. It's one of the things I absolutely love about this whole community of the Honey Badger Nation. Everyone collaborates. Not something that is in the real estate industry because it's not seen as competition here. We get together and everybody grows further. So I certainly appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience exactly what it is that you do.
No, it's my pleasure. And I love working with people like you. That's the other thing, is that we're growth minded. It says right there on your One Big Fire, on the screen here, it says One Big Fire, where agents grow and collaborate together. So where that came from, I can tell you where that came from, is that I was sitting in a room with Michael Reese, Jay Kinder, and a group of our masterminds. And we were in Aspen, Colorado, in a room trying to figure out what it was going to look like, where we were going to take. We all had independent brokerages. So imagine just independent brokerage here, an independent brokerage here. We had all these fires burning separately. And Jay stood up and he said, "We want to work with people like you. How cool would it be if we could take all of our fires together and make one big fire?" And that's on a recording. And so that's what's carried over into Honey Badger Nation. It's the One Big Fire. It's putting all of our fires together and making one big fire. And he didn't even, the cool part was that speech he gave was in 2015 before we even knew eXp existed. So, that's the truth. And we hadn't found it yet, or it hadn't found us. But I think for your viewers, I hope that one of the things they take away from it is having that mindset of learner mode versus judger mode, and having the awareness, like, you're either in judger mode or learner mode. And if you find yourself in learner mode and learning, like, why are all the biggest teams in all of the brands, from Remax to Keller Williams, like the #1 in all these different markets, why are they all moving over and taking their fires and combining them with ours for the One Big Fire? And it's because of what's on your screen there. It's the growth, the collaboration, the financial alignment, where everyone's willing to help everyone. They break out their playbooks and they say, here's what's working for me. And they share it. And that didn't happen when I was at Remax. That didn't happen when I was at Century 21. That didn't happen anywhere, really. At least at the high level, we're seeing it happen here. And that's the magic behind One Big Fire.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, that's the thing that, gets me fired up. I found that I had a renewed joy to get into real estate. It was like all of a sudden the picture just grew.
Yeah. I love it.
So, love it. I thank you again. I don't want to take up much more of your time because I know how busy you are. But
oh, no, it's my pleasure.
I certainly appreciate you taking the time for me today. And once again, we'll do this again, I'm sure.
All right. Thank you for having me. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Cheers.